24-year-old Brazilian influencer Isabella Costa died of cardiac arrest after Sheikh Khalid Al-Zaidi strangled her with his hands during a game at a private party in a penthouse in the Burj Khalifa Tower in Dubai. And her body was cremated 12 hours later with a false conclusion of drug overdose. Isabella Costa was born in Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, on March 23, 2001. The family lived in the working-class neighborhood of Barreiro, on the outskirts of the city. Her father, Marco Costa, worked as a car mechanic in a small workshop. His salary was about 800 reais per month, which was equivalent to approximately $160. Her mother, Maria da Silva, worked as a saleswoman in a supermarket. Her salary was slightly less, 700 reais. Isabella had a younger brother, Carlos, who was 3 years younger. The family lived in a small 2-bedroom house. The neighborhood was unsafe. There was a high crime rate, drug dealing, and gangs. Her parents tried to protect their children from the streets. Isabella attended a public school. School came easily to her, but she stood out from the others. From an early age, it was clear that she was a beautiful girl. She was tall for her age, slim, with regular features, large brown eyes, and long dark hair. At 14, her classmates began to say that Isabella should become a model. Her teacher advised her mother to send her to modeling school, but the family did not have the money for such things. Isabella continued to study at a regular school. She graduated in 2018. She wanted to go to university, but her grades weren't high enough to get a free place. Tuition fees were 3,000 reais per semester. The family couldn't afford it. Isabella got a job as a cashier at the supermarket where her mother worked. The salary was 1,000 reais per month. She worked full-time, 6 days a week. She saved money, dreaming of moving to São Paulo. There were modeling agencies there, and she could try to start a career. At 19, she had saved 3,000 reais. She told her parents that she was going to the state capital to seek a better life. Her father was against it, saying that the big city was dangerous for a young girl. Her mother supported her. She said that Isabella should try, otherwise she would regret it for the rest of her life. In August 2020, Isabella moved to São Paulo. She rented a room in the Moca district from an elderly woman for 400 rios a month. The room was small, 8 square meters, with a shared bathroom with the landlady. But the neighborhood was decent, close to the subway. Isabella began visiting modeling agencies. She carried printed photos with her that her friends had taken on their phones in Belo Horizonte. She did not have a professional portfolio. The first few months were difficult. Most agencies rejected her immediately. They said that Isabella was beautiful, but not tall enough to be a runway model. She was 172 centimeters tall. For the runway, you need to be at least 175 centimeters tall. They offered her work at promotional events, handing out flyers, working as a promoter. They paid 50 to 70 reais per day of work. Isabella agreed to everything. At the same time, she started developing her Instagram account. She had created a profile back in Belo Horizonte, but only started taking it seriously in São Paulo. She posted photos every day. Selfies, photos in shopping malls, on city streets, in parks. She used popular hashtags. She subscribed to other influencers, commented on their posts, and tried to attract attention. Her followers grew slowly. In the first 3 months, she gained 2,000. In November 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hit Brazil hard. Lockdowns, business closures, job losses. Promotions were canceled. Isabella's income dropped to zero. She ran out of money for rent. The landlord gave her a month's grace period. Isabella called home and asked for help. But her parents had lost their jobs too. Her father had no orders, and his workshop was closed. Her mother was sent on unpaid leave. Isabella realized that she needed to find other ways to earn money. Instagram was her only resource. She already had 5,000 followers. She began posting more revealing photos. In lingerie, swimsuits, tight-fitting clothes. Her followers began to grow faster. 3,000 were added in a month. The first offers from small brands appeared. Advertisements for sportswear and cosmetics. They paid 200 to 300 reais per post. This helped her get through the first months of the pandemic. By mid-2021, restrictions began to ease. Isabella returned to promotional work, but her main income now came from Instagram. She had 20,000 followers. Advertising posts brought in 1,000 to 1,500 reais per month. This was enough for rent, food, and basic expenses. Isabella created the image of a successful girl. She took photos in expensive places that didn't cost her any money. She would take photos in the public areas of luxury hotels and restaurants where she only ordered coffee but pretended to be having dinner. She would borrow clothes from friends or rent them for a few hours for photo shoots. Her followers believed her image. The comments were full of admiration. Girls asked her how she had achieved such success. Guys wrote compliments. Isabella responded to comments and kept in touch with her audience. This helped her grow. By the end of 2021, she had 50,000 followers. In 2022, Isabella began receiving offers from larger brands, cosmetics companies, sportswear manufacturers, fitness apps. They paid $500,000 for an advertising campaign of 3 to 5 posts. Her annual income grew to $20,000. That was good money for Brazil. Isabella moved into a better apartment, a studio in the Vila Mariana neighborhood for 1,200 reais a month. She started sending money to her parents, $200 to $300 every month. Her parents were grateful. Her father found a new job, but the salary was less than before. By 2023, she had 200,000 followers. Isabella was considered a micro-influencer. She was invited to brand events, store openings, and fashion shows. She met other influencers. She learned that many of them earned much more, not only from advertising, but also from other things. Some girls mentioned private parties for rich men. They didn't say directly what happened there, but they hinted that you could earn tens of thousands of dollars in one night. Isabella knew about the existence of escort services. Some of her friends worked in this field. They said that wealthy businessmen from Europe and the Middle East paid a lot of money for companionship at events and intimate services. Isabella had never considered it for herself, but when she heard about the amounts, she thought about it. $100,000 for one night. It would change her whole life. She could buy an apartment in a good neighborhood, provide for her parents, invest in her career. In December 2024, she had 400 subscribers. Isabella earned $5,000 to $7,000 a month from advertising. It was good money, but she wanted more. She saw other influencers with millions of followers. She saw their luxurious lives. She wanted the same. On January 15, 2025, Isabella received a private message on Instagram. The sender was an account called Dubai Elite Events. The profile looked professional. It had a verified checkmark, 20,000 followers, photos of luxurious parties, yachts, penthouses. The description stated that the company organizes exclusive events for VIP clients in Dubai. The message was personalized. It began with a compliment about her account. The company representative wrote that he had seen her profile and thought she was perfect for their event. A private party in Dubai for a group of investors from the Persian Gulf countries. The date was February 28th. They were looking for 9 girls from different countries. Requirements: age 20 to 30, attractive appearance, at least 100,000 followers on social media, willingness to fulfill client requests, payment of $100,000 for the evening, all expenses covered, business class tickets, accommodation in a 5-star hotel, meals. Isabella reread the message several times. $100,000. The amount was incredible. She knew that such offers usually involved more than just attending a party. But was she ready? She replied, asking for more details. The company representative responded quickly. He explained that the clients were very wealthy and influential people. They wanted a private party with beautiful girls. Expectations included company, entertainment, and fulfilling wishes. Details would be discussed on site. A mandatory condition was signing a non-disclosure agreement. Everything that happened at the party would remain confidential. Violation of the agreement would result in legal consequences and a fine of $500,000. Isabella asked a direct question. "Does this include intimate services?" The representative responded evasively. He said that the girls should be open to the wishes of the clients. Some wishes may be of an intimate nature, but everything takes place in a safe environment, with complete respect. If a girl is not comfortable with something specific, boundaries can be discussed in advance. Isabella hesitated for a week. She discussed it with her friend Luana, who was also an influencer. Luana said she had heard about such parties from other girls. Some returned with money and traumatic experiences. They said that the clients' demands were extreme: humiliation, violence, things that no amount of money could compensate for. But some said that everything went well, just escort services, nothing unusual. Luana advised Isabella to think carefully. $100,000 is a lot of money, but the risk might be too high. Isabella thought about it for 3 more days. She looked at her life. A room for 1,200 rios, an income that could stop at any moment if Instagram's algorithms changed. Parents who live in poverty. A brother who wants to go to university but has no money. $100,000 would solve all her problems. One night. You can survive anything for that kind of money. On January 22nd, Isabella replied to the company representative. She wrote that she agreed to participate. She asked for details and a non-disclosure agreement. The representative replied within an hour. He sent the contract in English, 10 pages of legal text. Isabella read it carefully. The main points: the participant agrees to attend a private event on February 28th in Dubai, to comply with the reasonable requirements of the organizers and clients, to maintain complete confidentiality about the event and participants, not to take photos or videos without permission, and not to disclose information to third parties. Violation will result in a fine of $500,000 and possible criminal prosecution under UAE law. Payment of $100,000 in cash at the end of the event, provided all obligations are fulfilled. Isabella signed with an electronic signature. She sent a scan of her passport. 2 days later, she received an e-ticket for a flight from São Paulo to Dubai on February 27th. Business class, Emirates Airline. Return ticket for March 2nd. She also received confirmation of a reservation at the Atlantis The Palm Hotel for 5 nights. Isabella began to prepare. She bought new evening dresses, shoes, and cosmetics. She spent $2,000 on her wardrobe. She had treatments at a beauty salon, manicure, pedicure, waxing, hairstyling. She told her parents that she was flying to Dubai for a promotional photo shoot. A major brand had invited her for a photo shoot. Her parents were happy. Her mother said she was proud of her daughter. Her father warned her to be careful in a foreign country. On February 27th, Isabella arrived at Dubai Airport. She passed through passport control without any problems. A driver with a sign reading Isabella Costa was waiting in the arrivals area. He was a man in his 40s, of Indian appearance, wearing a black suit. He introduced himself as Rajesh, an employee of Dubai Elite Events. He took her suitcase and led her to a black Mercedes S-Class. The trip to the hotel took 30 minutes. The Atlantis. The Palm Hotel is located on the artificial island of Palm Jumeirah. It is a luxurious resort with 1,500 rooms, a water park, a dolphinarium, and many restaurants. Isabella was given a room on the 20th floor with a view of the Persian Gulf. The room was huge, 50 square meters. It had a king-size bed, a living area, and a marble bathroom with a jacuzzi. Isabella spent the rest of the day relaxing after her flight. She walked around the hotel grounds and took photos for Instagram. She posted a photo with the caption, "Dubai, I'm here." She received thousands of likes and comments. Her followers wrote that they envied her, that she was lucky. Isabella smiled as she read the comments. If only they knew the truth. If only they knew why she was really here. On the evening of February 27th, she received a message from the event coordinator. The man introduced himself as James. He wrote that a car would pick her up at 9 p.m. tomorrow. It would take her to the party venue. Dress code, evening gown, elegant makeup, hairstyle, no cell phones, leave them at the hotel. The event would last until morning. She would return to the hotel around 7 or 8 a.m. on March 2nd. Isabella replied that she understood. She asked if she could find out more about what would be happening. James replied that all the details would be explained on site. It would be best to come with an open mind and a willingness to try new experiences. Everything would be comfortable and safe. There was no need to worry. On February 28th, Isabella spent the day at the hotel spa, massage, facial, hairstyling. She returned to her room at 6 in the evening. She began to get ready. She chose a black, form-fitting, knee-length dress, high-heeled shoes. She applied her makeup carefully. She emphasized her eyes and painted her lips bright red. She styled her hair in curls. She looked at herself in the mirror. She looked beautiful. She was ready for anything for $100,000. At 9 p.m., she went down to the hotel lobby. The same Mercedes was waiting there. Rajesh opened the door. Isabella got in. They drove through the city. The trip took 20 minutes. They stopped at the foot of the Burj Khalifa Tower, the tallest building in the world, 828 meters. Rajesh led Isabella to the service entrance. They took the elevator. There was only one button, number 114, the penthouse at the very top. The elevator opened directly into a huge living room. The interior was luxurious. White marble floors, high ceilings, floor-to-ceiling panoramic windows overlooking the whole of Dubai. The furniture was designer and modern. There was a bar with hundreds of bottles of expensive alcohol. Soft lounge music was playing. There were already other girls in the living room. Isabella counted 8, all about her age, beautiful, in evening dresses. She approached and introduced herself. The girls introduced themselves too. 2 Russians, Anna and Ekaterina. 2 Ukrainians, Oksana and Irina. Valeria from Colombia. Lucia from Argentina. 2 Romanians, Alina and Maria. All influencers with a large number of followers, from 100,000 to 500,000. We started talking. It turned out that everyone had been made the same offer. $100,000 for the evening. Complete confidentiality. Fulfillment of clients' wishes. Some of the girls were here for the first time, like Isabella. Others had participated in similar parties before. Anna, a Russian from Moscow, said that this was her 3rd time. The first 2 were in Dubai. She warned that it would be difficult. Clients at such parties expect a lot. Not just sex, extreme things, humiliation. But if you want money, you have to put up with it. She had already earned $200,000 at the 2 previous parties. She plans to buy an apartment in Moscow after this one. Valeria from Colombia was also experienced. She said she had participated in 5 such events. In Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh. The clients are always the same types. Rich, middle-aged Arabs. They pay for power, for the opportunity to do whatever they want with women. Valeria learned to turn off her emotions, to imagine that it wasn't happening to her. That made it easier to get through. The other girls were scared, especially Maria from Romania. She was only 21. It was her first time at such a party. She cried and said she wanted to leave. Anna said it was too late. If you leave, you won't get your money. What's more, they could deport you and put you on a blacklist. You'll never get into the UAE again. It's better to stay, get through it, and get your money. At 9:30 p.m., a man in his 40s entered the penthouse. He was European in appearance, tall, wearing an expensive dark blue suit. He had light, closely cropped hair and blue eyes. He spoke English with a British accent. He introduced himself as James, the event coordinator. He asked the girls to come closer and sit on the sofas in the living room. James began to explain. He spoke calmly and professionally, as if it were a normal business meeting. 5 clients would be visiting the penthouse that evening. They were very wealthy and influential people from the Persian Gulf countries. They had paid a lot of money for this event to be organized. $200,000 each, a total of $1 million. Of this amount, $900,000 goes to the girls, $100,000 each. The rest covers the costs of organization, security, and confidentiality. The clients expect full service. This means fulfilling all their requirements without exception. Any wishes, any fantasies. The girls must be ready for anything. Refusal to fulfill a request means a breach of contract. In this case, the girl is immediately removed from the event, deported from the country without payment, and without compensation for expenses. Her name is also blacklisted by organizers of similar events throughout the Persian Gulf. This means that she will never be able to receive such an offer again. If everything goes well and the clients are satisfied, each girl will receive $100,000 in cash at the end of the event. The money will be given in US dollars in large bills. It can be taken with you or transferred to a bank account. The event will last until about 6 or 7 in the morning. After that, the girls will be taken to their hotels. The rest of the day is free. Return tickets are for the 2nd or 3rd of March. Oksana, one of the Ukrainian women, raised her hand. She asked what exactly was meant by any requests. Could there be requests that cause pain or humiliation? James looked at her intently. He replied that clients could ask for many things. Some things might be uncomfortable or humiliating, but physical harm was out of the question. If any of the clients tried to cause serious physical harm, security would intervene. But psychological discomfort and moderate pain could be part of the process. If a girl was not ready for that, it would be better to leave now. No one left. The girls looked at each other. Maria from Romania cried quietly, but remained seated. James nodded. He said he was glad to see their willingness to cooperate. He asked them to hand over all their cell phones, to put them in the box he had brought. The phones would be returned in the morning. This was necessary for confidentiality. No photos, videos, or recordings during the event. The girls took out their phones and put them in the box. Isabella looked at the screen one last time. Messages from her mother and her friend Luana. They asked how things were going in Dubai. Isabella did not reply. She put her phone in the box. James closed it and took it to another room. He returned a few minutes later. He said that the clients would arrive in 30 minutes. The girls could get drinks from the bar and relax. James turned up the music, modern electronic lounge music. Some of the girls went to the bar. Anna from Russia poured herself a whiskey. She drank it in one gulp. She said that alcohol helps. Isabella poured herself a drink too, vodka and juice. She drank it slowly. She felt warmth in her chest. Her nerves calmed down a little. The girls stood by the panoramic windows, looking at Dubai. The city sparkled with lights. Skyscraper towers stretched into the night sky. Artificial islands in the shape of palm trees were clearly visible. Isabella thought about what a strange world it was. Down below, millions of people lived ordinary lives. And up here, 9 girls were selling themselves for money to rich men. No one down below knew. No one would ever find out. At 10 o'clock, the elevator doors opened. 5 men entered. All were dressed in traditional white robes and white skull caps on their heads. They were of different ages. One looked about 45, the others between 50 and 60. All were well-groomed, smelling of expensive perfume. They moved confidently, like people accustomed to power and money. James greeted them and shook their hands. He led them into the living room and introduced the girls. He did not give the clients full names, only their first names: Khalid, Sultan, Abdullah, Mohammed, and Faisal. The clients sat down on large sofas. They looked at the girls with appraising glances. They talked among themselves in Arabic. Khalid, the oldest, about 60 years old, signaled to James. James leaned over, and Khalid whispered something in his ear. James nodded. He went to the bar, poured whiskey into 5 large glasses. He brought them to the customers. Then he poured champagne into crystal flutes for the girls. He handed them out. Khalid raised his glass. He made a toast in English. He said he was glad to see such beautiful girls, that today would be an unforgettable evening, that they would all get what they paid for. The clients laughed and raised their glasses. The girls raised theirs too. They drank the champagne. Isabella felt a growing sense of unease. There was something threatening in Khalid's tone. The next 2 hours passed relatively normally. The clients drank and talked among themselves. They asked the girls to sit next to them and dance. They turned on loud music. The girls danced in front of them. The clients made comments, asked them to take off their shoes and unbutton their dresses. The girls obeyed. Isabella danced mechanically. She tried not to think about what was happening. She concentrated on the thought of $100,000. Around midnight, Sultan, one of the clients in his 50s, called over Ekaterina, a Russian girl. He asked her to sit on his lap. She sat down. He hugged her, kissed her neck, and groped her. Ekaterina smiled, pretending she liked it. Other clients also began to choose girls. Mohammed called Valeria over. Faisal chose Alina. Abdullah took Oksana. Khalid looked at the remaining girls: Isabella, Anna, Irina, Lucia, Maria. His gaze stopped on Maria, the youngest, 21 years old. Khalid beckoned her with a gesture. Maria approached slowly. He sat her down next to him. He started talking to her in English. He asked where she was from, what she did, how much she earned as an influencer. Maria answered quietly, nervously. Khalid put his hand on her knee. He started moving it higher. Maria froze. Khalid laughed. He said something in Arabic to the other clients. Everyone laughed. At 1 o'clock in the morning, James left the room. He returned with 2 large black suitcases. He placed them on the table in the center of the living room. He opened them. The girls came closer to look. Inside were various items: sex toys, handcuffs, ropes, whips, masks. Isabella felt nauseous. What were they going to do with all this? James announced that the special part of the program was about to begin. The clients had paid for an extreme evening. Now there would be various tasks and games. The girls had to participate. Refusal was not an option. Khalid stood up. He approached the table. He took a wad of $100 bills out of his pocket. He put it on the table. He said that there would be additional cash prizes for particularly good performance of the tasks. The first task was simple. 2 girls had to undress completely and perform a lesbian scene on the floor in front of the clients. Khalid chose Ekaterina and Irina. Both were Ukrainian. They exchanged glances. Slowly, they began to take off their dresses. They were left in their underwear. The clients shouted, demanding that they continue. The girls took off their underwear. They lay down on the carpet. They began to do what was required of them. The clients filmed them on their phones. They laughed. They commented. 10 minutes later, the task was over. Khalid threw 2 bills at each of the girls. $200 each. He said it was a good start. The next task would be more interesting. He took a plastic container out of his suitcase. Inside was a yellow liquid, urine. He put it on the table. He poured it into 2 wine glasses. He said that the 2 girls had to drink it all. Whoever drank it faster would get $500. Anna from Russia volunteered right away. She said she would do it. Valeria from Colombia also agreed. They both took the glasses. At Khalid's command, they began to drink. Anna drank it in 20 seconds. Valeria drank it in 30. Both turned pale and felt nauseous, but they held on. Khalid applauded. He gave Anna $500. He gave Valeria $200 for participating. The next 2 hours were hell. The tasks became increasingly extreme and humiliating. The girls were forced to smear themselves with feces from another container. to perform humiliating acts on each other. At one point, James brought a miniature horse into the room. Isabella couldn't believe her eyes. The clients demanded that one of the girls perform an act with the animal. Valeria agreed for $2,000. It was the most horrible thing Isabella had ever seen in her life. The clients were euphoric. They drank and snorted cocaine from the coffee table. They shouted and laughed. The girls cried. Maria sobbed in the corner. Khalid approached her. He grabbed her by the hair. He lifted her face. He asked why she was crying. Maria said she couldn't take it anymore. It was too much. Khalid slapped her across the face. Not hard, but hard enough to hurt. He spoke slowly, syllable by syllable. "You're not a person here. You're a thing. We paid for you. You do what you're told, or you leave now with no money and a lot of problems. Choose." Maria cried even harder, but she nodded. She said she would stay. Khalid let her go. He returned to his other clients. Isabella sat on the sofa, hugging her knees. She stared into space. She thought about how to make it through the night, how to survive this. Money no longer seemed so important. She just wanted to leave. But fear was stronger. Fear of being left without money. Fear of the consequences. By 4 a.m, most of the girls were in shock. They sat or lay on the floor, not moving. The clients continued to drink. White lines of cocaine lay on the table. Khalid stood up. He clapped his hands. He got everyone's attention. He announced that there would be a final game. For one girl. The one who was ready to go further than the rest. The prize was $50,000 on top of the main payment. A total of $150,000 for one night. The girls looked up. $50,000. A huge amount. Khalid explained the rules. The game is called choking. He will choke the girl with his hands to the point of unconsciousness. The time will be measured with a stopwatch. Whoever lasts the longest gets the prize. Safety is guaranteed. He has done this many times. He knows when to stop. No one has ever died. Anna was the first to agree. She approached Khalid. He stood behind her. His hands wrapped around her neck. He began to press down. Anna stood there, enduring it. Her face turned red. After 30 seconds, she waved her arms. Khalid let go. She coughed and gasped for air. The time was 32 seconds. The customers applauded. Ekaterina tried next. She lasted 45 seconds. Valeria lasted 1 minute and 10 seconds. Oksana lasted 1 minute and 30 seconds. Khalid strangled each subsequent girl for longer. He enjoyed the process. Other clients placed bets. They shouted and cheered. Isabella watched. She thought about the money. $150,000. It would solve all her problems. An apartment for her parents. College for her brother. A comfortable life for a year. She raised her hand. Her voice trembled. She said she would try. She wanted to break the record. She was ready to endure longer than anyone else. Khalid smiled. He said she was brave. Or stupid. It didn't matter. She would get the money if she survived. He laughed. Isabella approached. She stood in front of him. Khalid stood behind her. His hands wrapped around her neck. Big, strong hands. Isabella felt the pressure. She couldn't breathe. The countdown began. The first 30 seconds were bearable. The pressure was strong, but she could endure it. 40 seconds. Her head began to spin. 50 seconds. Her vision darkened at the edges. 1 minute. Her lungs burned. She wanted to breathe, but there was no air. 1 minute and 10 seconds. My pulse was pounding in my temples. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Oksana's record was broken. The clients were shouting louder. 1 minute and 40 seconds. My body began to twitch involuntarily. My brain was demanding oxygen. 1 minute and 50 seconds. Isabella tried to wave her arms, the signal to stop, but her arms wouldn't obey. 2 minutes. Consciousness began to slip away. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Everything around her became foggy. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Isabella lost consciousness. Her body went limp. Her arms fell. Khalid held on for another 10 seconds. Then he let go. Isabella fell to the floor. She lay motionless. She wasn't breathing. James rushed to her. He knelt down. He checked her pulse on her neck. Nothing. He began to perform indirect heart massage. 30 compressions on her chest. 2 breaths into her mouth. 30 more compressions. 1 minute of massage. 2 minutes. Isabella didn't respond. James called for help. Anna ran over. She started helping too. Massage. Artificial respiration. 3 minutes. 4. 5. Nothing. Her body remained motionless. Her lips were blue. Her pupils were dilated. Khalid stood nearby. His face was pale. He shouted that this shouldn't have happened. It was just a game. Just entertainment. She shouldn't have died. The other clients also stood up. Panic set in. Abdullah shouted that they needed to call an ambulance. Mohammed said it was a disaster. They would all end up in prison. James took out his phone. He called someone. He spoke quickly, nervously, in English. He said there had been an accident. Help was needed urgently. 10 minutes later, the elevator opened. A man in his 60s in a medical uniform entered. He was carrying a black bag. He introduced himself as Dr. Kamal. The doctor knelt down next to Isabella's body. He checked her pulse on her neck, on her wrist. He lifted her eyelid and shone a flashlight into her pupil. He listened to her heart with a stethoscope. He sat up straight. He shook his head. He said she was dead. Cardiac arrest due to prolonged asphyxia. 5 minutes of resuscitation had been unsuccessful. The brain had been without oxygen for too long. Even if they had managed to restart her heart, her brain was irreversibly damaged. Khalid grabbed the doctor by the sleeve. He shouted that there must be something they could do. Some kind of medicine, an injection, anything. The doctor freed his sleeve. He said calmly that nothing could be done. She was dead. Now the question was how to solve the problem. James gathered the clients. They stepped aside. They talked quietly. The girls sat on the sofa. They looked at Isabella's body. Anna cried. Maria sobbed. The rest were in shock. She was one of them. Alive a few minutes ago. Now dead. Because of the game. Because of money. 15 minutes later, James returned. He told the girls that the incident would be resolved. They have a procedure for such situations. The doctor has been working with them for a long time. He knows what to do. The body will be disposed of. No one would find out. The girls had to keep quiet. If anyone tried to talk, the consequences would be serious for everyone. The doctor opened his bag. He took out a syringe and a vial. He drew up the liquid. He injected it into Isabella's body. He explained that it would speed up decomposition. In 12 hours, it would be impossible to determine the exact cause of death. He would also take blood samples. He would add traces of cocaine and alcohol. He would sign the death certificate stating that the cause of death was drug overdose and heart failure. Khalid approached the doctor. He took a wad of bills out of his pocket. Euros. Large bills. 100,000. The doctor took them. He nodded. He said everything would be done cleanly, as always. Isabella's body was covered with a white sheet. 2 security guards who were on duty outside brought in a stretcher. They transferred the body. They took it out through the service elevator. The doctor left with them. James stayed with the girls and clients. James approached the sofa where the girls were sitting. Their faces were pale, their eyes filled with shock. He took several sheets of paper out of his jacket's inside pocket, new non-disclosure agreements. He placed them on the table in front of them. He said that each of them had to sign right away. The document supplemented the previous one. It stated that the girls confirmed that they had not witnessed any accidents or deaths at the event, that everything had taken place in a safe environment, that they would not make any claims against the organizers or clients. Violation of the agreement would result in a fine of $1 million and criminal prosecution under UAE law. Anna asked what would happen to Isabella's body. James replied that it was in safe hands. The doctor works with a private clinic that has agreements with a morgue and crematorium. The body will be cremated within 12 hours. The family will be told that Isabella died of heart failure caused by a drug overdose at the hotel. Compensation for the funeral is $50,000. No questions asked. No investigation. Oksana asked in a trembling voice. What if one of them went to the police? Told the truth? James looked at her intently. He spoke slowly so that everyone would understand. If anyone tried to talk, the organizers had everything on video. Hidden cameras in the penthouse recorded everything that happened, including how the girls voluntarily participated in extreme activities for money. This video will be handed over to the police with the claim that the girls themselves initiated the dangerous game and are responsible for their friend's death. The organizers also know the addresses of all the girls' families in Russia, Ukraine, Colombia, Argentina, Romania. It's better to just take the money and forget about that night. The girls were silent. They understood that they had no choice. One after another, they signed the documents. James collected the sheets. He went into another room. He returned 10 minutes later with 8 black sports bags. He gave one to each girl. Inside were wads of dollar bills, $80,000 instead of the promised $100,000. James explained that $20,000 had been withheld to cover the costs of disposing of the body and resolving legal issues. Valeria tried to object. She said that the contract stipulated $100,000. James replied harshly. The contract also stipulated that everyone would return alive. One did not return. This is force majeure. Take 80 or leave with nothing. Choose. Valeria fell silent. She took the bag. It was 5 in the morning. James said the girls could rest here until 7, then they would be taken to hotels. The clients had left through the service exit even earlier. Khalid was the last to leave. Before leaving, he approached James. He handed him a thick envelope, an additional payment for the silence of all participants. The girls sat silently in the living room. No one could sleep. They looked out the windows at the sunrise over Dubai. The city was waking up. People were going to work. Cars were driving on the roads. Life went on as usual. And here upstairs, a girl had died, and no one would ever know. At 7 in the morning, cars arrived. They took the girls to their hotels. Isabella returned to her room at the Atlantis Hotel. No, not Isabella. Isabella was no more. Anna returned to her hotel. She took a shower. She washed away what was on her body. She washed it away, but the memory remained. She lay down on the bed. She closed her eyes. She saw Isabella's face, how she fell, how she lay motionless. At 10 in the morning, James sent messages to all the girls. He reminded them of the agreement, of the consequences of breaking it. Return tickets for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Better to leave quickly. Don't linger in Dubai. At that time, Isabella's body was in a private clinic in the industrial district of Dubai. Dr. Kamal conducted a formal examination. He wrote a death certificate. Cause: acute heart failure due to cocaine and alcohol intoxication. High concentrations of narcotic substances were found in the blood, probably an overdose. Her age, poor heart condition, and drug use led to her death. The blood samples did indeed contain high levels of cocaine. The doctor added them himself before the analysis. The body was taken to the crematorium. The cremation procedure took 2 hours. By noon on March 1st, all that remained of Isabella Costa was ashes in an urn. At 2 p.m., a representative of the Brazilian consulate in Dubai called Isabella's parents. He broke the tragic news. Isabella had died of a heart attack in a hotel. No details were given. The cause of death was determined to be drug intoxication. The body was cremated in accordance with UAE procedure for suspected drug use. The urn with her ashes would be sent to Brazil within a week. The consulate would pay the family $50,000 for the funeral and as compensation. Maria, Isabella's mother, fell to the floor when she heard the news. She screamed that it was impossible. Her daughter did not use drugs. Never. It was a mistake. Marco, her father, picked up the phone. He demanded explanations. How did this happen? Where was their daughter? Why didn't anyone help her? The consulate representative responded evasively. He said that the Dubai police were investigating the details, but the preliminary version was an overdose in a hotel room. The body was found by a maid in the morning. The family was in shock. Her younger brother Carlos locked himself in his room. He didn't come out for 2 days. Her parents called the consulate every day. They demanded an additional investigation to uncover the circumstances of her death, but they received the same answer. The case was closed, the cause had been established, the body had been cremated, and further investigation was impossible. The urn with her ashes arrived in São Paulo on March 9th. Her parents picked it up and brought it to their hometown of Belo Horizonte. They held a modest farewell ceremony. About 50 people came. Friends, relatives, acquaintances. Many did not believe that Isabella used drugs. They knew her as a responsible, ambitious girl. But the official version was unequivocal. Isabella's Instagram account remained active for several weeks. The last post was published on February 28th at 9 p.m. It was a photo of her in a black dress against the backdrop of the Dubai skyline. The caption read, "Living my dream in Dubai. Tonight will be an unforgettable evening." 450,000 followers liked the post and wrote comments. They admired her. They envied her. They didn't know that in a few hours she would be dead. When the news of her death spread, hundreds of condolence comments appeared under the post. People wrote that they were shocked, that they couldn't believe it, that she was so beautiful and successful. How could this have happened? Some wrote about the problem of drugs among young people. Others suspected that the official version was not true. Isabella's friend Luana, also an influencer, published a memorial post. She wrote that Isabella was her best friend, that they started their careers together, that she didn't believe the story about drugs, that Isabella never used them. The post received tens of thousands of likes and supportive comments. A month later, Isabella's account was deleted by Instagram. The official reason: violation of community rules. Unofficially, a request from the UAE authorities through legal representatives. The account contained information related to a closed investigation. Anna, a Russian girl who was at that party, returned to Moscow. She couldn't sleep for the first few weeks. Nightmares every night. She saw Isabella, how she fell, how she lay dead. Guilt ate away at her from the inside. Anna understood that she could have been in Isabella's place. She had also participated in the game. She was just luckier. The money, $80,000, was in the safe. Anna couldn't touch it. It was blood money, earned on the death of her friend. After 3 months, she couldn't take it anymore. She contacted one of the girls who had been at the party, Valeria from Colombia. She asked how she was doing, whether she was having nightmares. Valeria replied that she had learned not to think about it, that the past cannot be changed. You have to move on. Anna couldn't go on living like that. The guilt was too strong. She remembered that one of the girls, Oksana from Ukraine, wore a tiny camera on her bracelet. She filmed everything secretly, just in case, for protection if something went wrong. Anna contacted Oksana. She asked for a copy of the video. Oksana refused at first. She was afraid of the consequences. She reminded Anna of the agreement, of the fine, of the threats to their families. But Anna insisted. She said that Isabella deserved justice, that the world needed to know the truth, that such things should not remain hidden. A week later, Oksana agreed. She sent the video file via an encrypted messenger. 8 hours of recording. Everything that happened at the party, the humiliation, the games, Isabella's strangulation, her death, the panic of the clients, the arrival of the doctor. Anna copied the file onto 3 different flash drives. She hid one at home. She gave the second to a friend for safekeeping. She decided to send the third to the Western media. She chose the British newspaper Daily Mail. She knew they specialized in high-profile scandals. She sent an anonymous letter with the flash drive. In the letter, she briefly described the situation: the date, place, participants, Isabella's death, the video as evidence. The Daily Mail editorial office received the letter at the end of June 2025. Journalists verified the authenticity of the video. The examination showed that the material was not edited. The faces of the participants are clearly visible. The voices were recorded. Everything was real. The editorial staff decided to publish it, but first, they contacted UAE authorities for comment. The authorities denied everything. They claimed that the video was fake, that it was an attempt to tarnish the country's reputation, that no Isabella Costa had died in Dubai under suspicious circumstances, that the official version was that she died of a drug overdose in a hotel. The case was closed. On July 28, 2025, the Daily Mail published an article. The headline, "Brazilian influencer dies at sex party in Dubai after playing choking game." The video shows the whole truth. The article contained a detailed description of the events. The names of the clients were not mentioned, only the name of the main participant, Khalid Al-Zaidi, a 60-year-old businessman from Dubai, owner of a construction company. His fortune is estimated at around $300 million. The video was published in part. The most shocking moments were cut out, but even what was shown was enough. Humiliation of girls, extreme actions, strangulation games, the moment when Isabella falls, Khalid in a panic. The doctor pronounces her dead. The material went viral in a matter of hours. Millions of views, hundreds of thousands of reposts. The comments are full of outrage. People demanded an investigation, justice for Isabella, punishment for the organizers and clients. The Brazilian government issued an official statement. It demanded that the UAE authorities conduct a full investigation to establish all the circumstances of the death of the Brazilian citizen, to bring those responsible to justice. The UAE authorities responded evasively. They stated that an investigation had been conducted. The cause of death had been established. There were no grounds for a reinvestigation, but international pressure was mounting. Human rights organizations demanded action. The UN sent a request. The European Parliament discussed possible sanctions against UAE officials involved in human trafficking. The scandal was gaining momentum. On August 5th, Dubai police announced that they had arrested Khalid Al-Zaidi. The charges: organizing an illegal sex party, involuntary manslaughter, and concealing a death. Dr. Kamal was also arrested. The charges: falsifying medical documents and aiding and abetting in the concealment of a crime. James, the event coordinator, was not found. He went into hiding. He is believed to have left for Europe. An international arrest warrant was issued. The trial began in late August. It was closed to the public. The media were not allowed to attend. Khalid denied all charges. He claimed that he did not strangle Isabella, that it was a consensual game, that he did not want to kill her, that it was an accident. Dr. Kamal confirmed that he had signed a false report, but he said he was forced to do so. He was paid $100,000. His family was threatened. Khalid's lawyers tried to challenge the video. They claimed that it had been obtained illegally, that it could not be used as evidence. But the court ruled that the video was admissible. Technical expertise confirmed its authenticity. On September 12th, the court handed down its verdict. Khalid Al-Zaidi, 15 years in prison for manslaughter and organizing illegal activities. Dr. Kamal, 10 years for forging documents and aiding and abetting. Confiscation of Khalid's property worth $50 million. compensation to Isabella Costa's family of $500,000. But the other 4 clients who were present at the party were not prosecuted. Officially, there was insufficient evidence of their direct involvement in the death. Their names were not disclosed. Protection of connections and status. The girls who were at the party did not testify. They were afraid of the consequences. The non-disclosure agreements remained in force. International human rights activists called the sentence insufficient. They said that 15 years for the murder of a girl was a mockery of justice, that all participants should be punished, that the system that allows such parties to exist should be destroyed. But no real changes followed. Isabella's family received compensation, $500,000 and an urn with ashes that may not even have contained their daughter's remains. Maria, the mother, never recovered from the loss. She fell into depression. Marco, the father, tried to get an additional investigation through international organizations, but the case reached a dead end. Carlos, the younger brother, dropped out of university. He withdrew. He blamed himself for not dissuading his sister from flying to Dubai. Anna continues to live in Moscow. She gives anonymous interviews to human rights activists and journalists. She talks about the reality of private parties for the rich. She warns young girls who dream of quick money. She says that no amount of money is worth a life, that the elite escort industry in the Gulf countries is not glamorous. It is human trafficking. It is humiliation. It is a deadly risk. Anna sent the $80,000 she received to Isabella's family, anonymously, through intermediaries. It will not bring their daughter back, but it will make their lives a little easier. Anna knows that other girls from that party took the money and kept quiet. They go on with their lives, as if nothing had happened. Valeria from Colombia bought an apartment. She continues to work as an influencer. She flies to similar events. Ekaterina from Russia started a business. Alina from Romania moved to Spain. Oksana, who filmed the video, lives in constant fear. She knows that the organizers figured out where the leak came from. She moved to another city. She deleted all her social media accounts. She lives under a different name. But the fear remains. She knows that these people do not forgive betrayal. Isabella Costa's story became a warning. But thousands of girls continue to fly to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Riyadh. The temptation of quick money is too strong. The luxurious life on social media creates the illusion of accessibility. The organizers continue to work. Clients continue to pay. The system functions because everyone remains silent. The victims are afraid to speak out. The authorities turn a blind eye. Money buys silence and protection. This is the reality of the modern luxury and entertainment industry for the super rich. Behind every post by an influencer in a bikini on a yacht, there may be a story of humiliation. Behind every photo in a penthouse, there may be a night of horror. And some never return at all. Their families receive an urn with ashes and an official story about an overdose. The truth remains buried with them. If this story made you think about the price girls pay for the appearance of a luxurious life, like this article. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next investigations into the dark side of the influencer industry and elite parties. Write in the comments, did you know about the existence of such parties? Have you encountered similar stories in your circle? How do you think this industry can be stopped? Share this article wherever you can. The more people know the truth, the harder it will be for organizers to continue operating in the shadows. Parents need to know where their daughters are really going. Girls need to understand the real risks before agreeing to such offers. Turn on notifications to be the first to see new investigations.